Hey everyone, it is Jay Soloff from Investors Alley, and this is our options trade of the week. So I'm going to start off showing you a interesting trade here in marketchameleon.com, but then I'm going to switch to my Thinkorswim account to actually show you how to put on the trade. So it's going to be a little different than what I have done in the past. So anyways, starting here on the unusual options page of Market Chameleon. As always, I like to sort by volume to find unusual trades in some of the bigger names. And so you can see we're starting to get close to earnings season. So there's some stuff coming up for Apple, of course, and quite a bit of other big names here near the top. But what I wanted to focus on here is this XLY, which is a sector ETF, specifically the consumer discretionary sector. I think it's interesting since we're looking at retail sales and things like that, and consumer spending and discretionary spending as a big part of if the economy is going to be able to sustain the level of growth. So you're looking at XLY. First off, let me show you. If you look at the holdings, look at the holdings just so you have an idea what we're talking about. This is discretionary spending is not staples, right? It's not your basic food and clothing and stuff that you need to survive. This is generally the sort of company you'd spend money at if you have extra money to spend. So of course Amazon is at the top of the list, and Nike and Starbucks would be a big one, and then of course the home improvement stuff, Home Depot, Lowe's, Target's on here. So it's the sort of stuff that you would kind of expect would do really well when retail spending is doing well. So anyways, back to the trades. This doesn't trade a whole ton, so it was interesting to see the extra options volume. And so if we sort that by quantity, you will see here that it is a lot of it is in one really huge trade, 40,000 calls, and it looks like a spread. Well, if we look at it, and you can tell by this opened interest in January and then February, it looks like someone is rolling out a position. So it looks like they probably owned the January 17th calls that expires next week. Those options expire next week. So the stock is at 126.43. So they had the 126 calls. They're trading, in the $1.30 range. So maybe they made some money on it. Maybe they want to make more money on it. But whatever, they're closing this position out, and it looks like they're rolling it up to the 129 calls in February. So they sold these. Looks like they sold these for 131. They bought the February's for 125, which means it needs to go to 130.25 for this to be a profitable trade. That's pretty bullish. XLY doesn't move a whole ton. I mean, it moves, but it's not crazy volatile. You can see the range here is for the last 52 weeks is about 103 to 127.5. So it's volatile, but it's not as volatile as some of the other sectors. So interesting to see that. That's a very bullish trade, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Now, if you're also bullish on discretionary, and this may be a decent way to get shares in some of the more expensive stocks. You talk about Home Depot and Amazon in particular, and some of these stocks that are high priced. It's hard to buy those individual shares. So getting a piece of it through XLY is a good way to get into some of these higher priced stocks at a much lower entry point. So if you're interested in buying these 129 calls, let me show you. So here's XLY. This is Thinkorswim. I'm looking at what we want to look at here is these the February 21 calls that they were rolled to, and we'll be able to see. So if we if we change this to volume, you can see right here, 41,000 traded today. There was only 638 open interest. So this is an opening trade. The price has gone down. It was at 126.70 or something like that when the trade was made. So the reason why it's not 125 anymore is because the stock has gone down a little bit since they made the trade. So you could actually get this trade for cheaper So if you wanted to pay 109 for it, it's easy enough. Depending on your brokerage, usually you can just click on the ask and it'll put in, it'll fill in an order screen. In this case, mine's at the bottom here. So let's say you wanted to buy a 10 lot and you're looking at the 129 calls. Let's say you wanted to pay, try to pay mid-market. You could just change that to 107. Usually there's a preview button. In this case, it says confirm or send, and it gives me this screen that shows me where the break even is, a little over 130, and then that I'm spending a little over $1,000 on a 10 lot here, plus commissions, which are quite a bit less since those have been cut down. And now my max loss is simply what I've paid on the trade, because it's a long trade. And you can't show max gain because technically it's infinite if the stock keeps going higher. So anyways, if I want to send that in, I just hit send, and that's that. So if you're interested in doing that trade, it's an easy one to make. And this is also the sort of thing that I can show you how to do, and that we do regularly in my Options Floor Trader Pro newsletter, which is only $49 a year. That's linked below, so you can check that out if you're interested in getting more of these types of trades.